There is a terrifying mythology that surrounds the hangars of Nellis and Langley. If you talk to the public, or if you watch the 4K promotional footage cut together by defense contractors, they will tell you that the F-22 Raptor is a god. They say that when the Raptor enters the battle space, the laws of physics and the electromagnetic spectrum simply bend to its will. For over 20 years, this airframe has been the undisputed king of the skies, a $67 billion ghost designed to be untouchable. But I don't read promotional brochures. I read the telemetry. I look at the unclassified maintenance death spirals that the politicians in Washington desperately want to keep out of the headlines. The reality is that while you were watching the Raptor pull thrust-vectoring power loops at an air show, something dark was happening behind closed doors. In the windowless rooms of the Pentagon and the high-security logistics offices at Wright-Patterson, the king was being served his death warrant. The U.S. Air Force isn't just retiring the F-22. That word implies a peaceful end to a long career. Now, the Air Force is actively, desperately trying to execute the platform in silence. The reason isn't simply that the Raptor is getting old. The reason is that this airframe houses a secret terminal vulnerability, a culmination of supply chain starvation, data link isolation, and massive thermal signatures that the military needs to hide before a near-peer adversary exploits it. I'm James. Welcome back to The Hidden Muster. Today, we are locking the doors and performing an exhaustive, unvarnished forensic autopsy on the execution of the world's most dominant fighter. We are moving past the invincibility myth to look at the stress tolerances, the $85,000 per hour attrition rate, and the highly classified NGAD bridge. Tear the tape off the file. This is why the United States is quietly killing the F-22. To understand why a machine this lethal ends up on the chopping block, we have to look at the crime scene of its birth. You cannot understand the death of the Raptor without understanding the Advanced Tactical Fighter (ATF) program of the late 1980s. Back then, the U.S. had a clear nightmare: the Soviet Su-27 and MiG-29. The mandate was uncompromising: build a platform with absolute air superiority. It needed extreme low observable characteristics, supercruise without afterburners, and sensor fusion to achieve a first look, first shot, first kill paradigm.
Lockheed delivered a masterpiece. The F-22 leverages two Pratt & Whitney F-119 PW100 engines, generating 70,000 pounds of thrust. It can cruise at Mach 1.5 without afterburners, negating an enemy's ability to calculate a viable intercept. But the platform was engineered for a reality that collapsed as the jet entered production. The Berlin Wall fell. The Cold War ended. The Pentagon initiated one of the most catastrophic industrial decisions in military history. Originally, the USAF planned for 750 Raptors. That number was slashed repeatedly until production was hard-capped at a microscopic 187 operational airframes. Then came the Obie Amendment. Congress, terrified that the F-22 stealth would leak, banned the export of the Raptor to any foreign nation, not even our closest allies. By capping the fleet and banning exports, the government destroyed the platform's supply chain. When you only have 187 units of a hyper-advanced machine, you possess zero industrial redundancy. The tooling was dismantled. The engineers moved on. Today, if a specialized actuator or titanium bulkhead fractures, the Air Force cannot just order a new one. They have to reverse engineer it at astronomical costs. The F-22 isn't being defeated by missiles, it is dying of industrial starvation. The second phase of this autopsy is the physics of the skin. The F-22's stealth isn't just about angles, it heavily incorporates first-generation radar-absorbent material, RAM. This coating is a toxic chemistry experiment forced to fly at Mach 2. It absorbs radio frequency, RF energy, and dissipates it as heat. Every time a Raptor pulls 9 Gs, the airframe flexes. Every time it supercruises, atmospheric friction heats the wing edges. Every time it flies through rain or salt spray, that delicate skin begins to bake, crack, and peel. Maintenance ratios are staggering. To keep the jet invisible, maintainers strip and reapply RAM in climate-controlled hangars. Telemetry suggests for every single hour in the air, the Raptor requires 30 to 40 hours of specialized maintenance. This is a tactical attrition generator. The hourly cost to fly the F-22 has ballooned to over $85,000. During high-tempo operations, mission-capable rates routinely dip below 50%. If a conflict broke out in the Pacific tomorrow, less than 90 jets might be flight-worthy. The Air Force realized the King was spending so much time in the hospital that he was no longer a reliable weapon. It's a maintenance death spiral. Billions of dollars for a fleet of exquisite hangar queens.
Now, the sensor suite. This is where the execution becomes justified. The F-22 integrated the AN/APG-77 AESA radar, which was decades ahead of its time. It allows the Raptor to emit narrow beams of RF energy that are nearly impossible for enemy radar warning receivers to detect. But RF detection is no longer the only game. The near-peer threat has shifted. The Chinese J-20 and Russian Su-57 were designed with the F-22 in mind. They know they cannot beat the Raptor in an RF radar duel, so they pivoted to infrared search and track systems. This is the Raptor's terminal blind spot. The F-22 is a massive thermal beacon. Those F-119 engines are blowtorches. While its shape hides it from radar, its heat signature is a glowing beacon in the infrared spectrum. Modern IRST systems are passive. They don't emit a signal the F-22 can detect. They simply scan the cold sky for the thermal friction of a jet. Advanced IRST can detect a thermal anomaly at ranges exceeding 50 nautical miles. The F-22's architecture was frozen in the late 90s. It lacks an internal IRST sensor. It cannot look back at the enemy in the thermal spectrum without compromising its own stealth. It's a ninja walking into a room of thermal cameras. The Air Force is trying to fix this by bolting on external stealthy pods, but this is a concession. It increases drag and the radar cross-section. They are trading pristine stealth for the desperate need to see. Modern air combat is about system of systems integration. A 5th-gen fighter acts as an airborne quarterback, sharing data with ships and drones to orchestrate a kill chain. The F-35 does this via the multifunction advanced data link. The F-22 does not have MADL. It uses the intra-flight data link, which is proprietary. An F-22 can only talk to another F-22. To share data with an F-35 or an Aegis cruiser, it must use legacy Link 16. The moment an F-22 transmits on Link 16, it broadcasts its position. It becomes a flashlight in a dark room. The Raptor is a lone wolf in an era that requires a pack. The Air Force has spent billions on translator drones to bridge the gap, but these add latency and introduce single points of failure. If the translator is shot down, the Raptor is deaf and mute to the rest of the fleet. Apply these bottlenecks to the map. The next war is in the Indo-Pacific. The F-22 was designed for Europe, short hops from West Germany to the Fulda Gap. Its unrefueled combat radius is only 450 to 500 nautical miles. In the Pacific, that is nothing. To operate over the Taiwan Strait from Guam, the F-22 must rely on aerial refueling. This is a catastrophic vulnerability. Chinese doctrine targets the kill chain logistics. If an aggressor uses long-range missiles like the PL-15 to force tankers away from the combat zone, the F-22 cannot reach the fight. The Air Force is developing low-absorbable drop tanks, but again, this is a compromise. Bolting fuel tanks to the wings ruins the kinematic agility and LO profile. The King has short legs, and in the Pacific, short legs get you killed.
There is a subset of the fleet known as the Block 20 Raptors, 32 older jets used for training. They lack modern software, weapons integration, and structural refurbishments. Bringing them to combat standards would cost $3.5 billion. The Air Force said, "Cut 'em loose." They submitted a request to send them to the boneyard, arguing that spending billions on training platforms with expiring lifespans is strategic malpractice. They need that money for the future. Congress panicked. They see the Raptor as a symbol of supremacy. They passed legislation blocking the retirement of these jets. We are watching a civil war between the pilots who know the reality and the politicians who fund the optics. The Air Force is being forced to bleed its budget to keep a brain-dead patient on life support. Until the next generation is ready, the F-22 is all we have. So the USAF initiated Raptor 2.0, an $11 billion modernization effort. You'll see Raptors covered in mirror-like chromium tiles to mitigate thermal signatures, and the new AIM-260 missile to outrange the PL-15. But Raptor 2.0 isn't for the next 30 years. It's a Band-Aid for the next 10. The executioner is already here, the Next Generation Air Dominance, or NGAD. NGAD isn't a plane, it's a system of systems. The central node is a 6th-gen manned platform, but its lethality comes from Collaborative Combat Aircraft, or CCA, autonomous AI drones. A single pilot will command a swarm of these drones to jam radar and take kinetic shots, while the human stays 50 miles back in electromagnetic silence. Compared to this swarm architecture, the Raptor is a relic. If you lose an F-22, you lose a pilot and $250 million. If you lose a CCA drone, the network barely blinks. The Air Force mathematically cannot afford the F-22's $85,000 per hour maintenance while funding the NGAD. They are executing the king so the empire can survive. Why is this happening quietly? Because perception is deterrence. The global order is stabilized by the myth of the Raptor. To admit the jet is hindered by maintenance and thermal vulnerabilities would shatter that deterrence. So the Pentagon plays a dual game. Publicly, they release 4K footage to reassure allies. Privately, they are gutting the program and fighting Congress to send the jets to the scrapyard. The F-22 is the greatest aerodynamic achievement of the 20th century, shoved into the networked warfare of the 21st. It's a horse race pulling a plow. In a vacuum, the Raptor still wins, but wars are fought in logistics and sensor networks. The Air Force isn't retiring the F-22 because it's a bad jet. They are executing it because it is a strategic liability. The concept of a single king of the skies is dead. Air dominance is now a digital web. I'm James. This has been The Hidden Muster. Keep your eye on the budget wars. The king is dead. The swarm is coming. We're out.